yourself in a different frame of mind and think of movement as life force energy, right? So if we didn't have energy, we wouldn't be here, right? So that prana or that life force energy is what keeps us going. So we need to be grateful for the energy that we do have, and some kids are really blessed with more of it, but try to be tolerant of that and try to find ways to funnel it and direct it into positive pathways for them. So just looking at the different poses that we talked about and activating or even de-escalating some of that prana or life force energy. So your kids who maybe were too sleepy, getting them activated with their energy, and maybe your kids who are a little too energetic coming in the morning, you can take that energy and direct it and focus it. All right. So then being mindful of your own health and happiness, and this is kind of where we're coming to a close, but really thinking about how you can take care of yourself as you're setting up your classroom for your kids. So we talked about the sage coming around when I came in. That works for me. Maybe for you it's praying over your classroom before you get started, praying over your students, setting your tone in the way that you decorate or set up your Mexican blanket or wherever you're having your circle time with your kids, setting up your expectations and the flow of the day and really thinking about that before the kids get there. Because if I'm having you do breathing exercises and I choose a book to read to you while your eyes are closed that's too long and I haven't thought about that before, you're going to lose people, right? And so thinking about, for most kids, their time span is as long as their ages and minutes, so trying to break up those activities for them, all right? So for yourself and thinking of, there was a mindfulness edition that came out in time, and I'm not going to go through this with you, but you know, they have a lot of different apps that you can use for different poses. There's the Calm app that takes you through breathing or meditations, that kind of thing. And I can pass this around if you guys want to look at that. A happiness journal. So this I love because this is something that you can use with all ages, and you guys are going to go up to 3rd grade. So with your kids, maybe your morning work before that character meeting that you do is a happiness journal every day. And maybe you have kids who aren't quite literate just yet, and so they're drawing pictures. And so for your kinder kids, it would look something like stick figures coming in. I'm happy because I have my family, right? And then as you develop them through that writing and the happiness journal, it starts to move into that next step, which we know is labeling. So even if they're not able to write yet, they're just putting a letter and trying to sound out the first letter of each person's name, and then they progress into writing the actual name, and then we know that those drawings turn into having speech bubbles above them, and once they can add those speech bubbles above their people, they can tell a story with them, right? So progressing them through those steps, using that happiness journal with the kids. And I would highly recommend that you take time to do that in the morning for yourself as well. So while your kids are coming in, you greet them, but then you sit down for 2 to 5 minutes and you write down something that you're grateful for that day, and then you start with your character meeting with the kids. Looking at personal reading recommendations, I had brought this book here. I don't know if you guys have read this, but it is amazing. So I would highly recommend this for personal reading. It has lots of information in here about setting goals and then doing them, you know. So if you have things that you want to do, but you haven't quite had that motivation to do them, try them out in your classroom, that kind of thing, this is the perfect book to inspire you to do that. For professional reading, and Dr. Ford and I had talked a little bit about this one as well, the Mindful School Leader. So each of you is a leader within your own classroom. And so this is something that helps you. There's lots of good resources in here as far as clips. There's a lady in here that had a stroke, and it wasn't until having that stroke that she realized that life is short, and it's her story on that, and learning some mindfulness after that. But it also talks about if you're taking your class for a walk, do a mindful walk. eating at lunch, when they sit down, instead of talking or shoveling their food in, do it mindfully so that they're feeding their body with that energy. So this is actually for you to keep. And then also looking at some things you could do with your class. So this is called Student Treasures Publishing. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. This was an EC class that we had at Walter Bickett, and that teacher really just ran with mindfulness while we were there. And so just on computer paper, she had kids draw pictures of things and then write a little story about it. So for example, this one is Ruby is calm and at peace when she is reading. She loves to read. Next time you read a book, try to notice your breathing. It should be slow and steady. And so when your kids are thinking about their happiness journal, or if you're having them write in ways that they can be mindful or mindful reading, that kind of thing, and you want to then take that and publish it for the parents or something like that, this place does that. So there is, on some of them, it depends on how small or large you want them. There could be no fee up to, where they certainly charge, and we'll take your money for that. But if this is a collection that you're looking at, I would recommend them.
What is it called?
It's called Student Treasures Publishing. StudentTreasures.com. And then just make sure that you're staying active yourself and breathing. So hopefully I'll be back with you guys for more than an hour, because I'm long-winded. Obviously I've gone over an hour today. But also because I can dive deeper into some of these topics where maybe you guys say, you can talk to Dr. Ford and say, we'd love her to come back and just do yoga with us, or we'd love her to come back and do movement and breathing for a day, or we want her to come back and do all literacy and mindfulness, which I love. Literacy is my thing. So I'll be back with you guys for dibbles and running records and all of that. But I will not be talking about mindfulness when we're doing dibbles and running records. We'll be down to the nitty-gritty with that literacy piece. But you guys can certainly share on things you'd like me to dive into deeper, give more information about. Any questions for me? No problem. Thank you for having me and my kids. Thank you for having all of us.
All right, you guys want to take a